Don't move, dirtbag! Andrew. And this is Gayties Toys. On today's MIA 80s Ladies, we're going to be talking about two characters from the Police Academy toyline from Kenner, which is a spin-off of the Police Academy cartoon, which is a spin-off of the Police Academy movies. Specifically, Hooks and Callahan. To go back where it started, Police Academy was a 1984 movie that really featured the snobs versus slobs kind of trope happening at that time, much like with Porky's or Animal House, where, some Gen X slobs really showed up, the boomer snobs. In this case, it was centered around a police academy where rules had loosened, where they needed more cops on the streets. It sounds familiar. And they sort of let anybody in. And so we got a real ragtag group of people that we follow through not only just with this movie, but, 6 more beyond that. Admittedly, I love these movies. I mean, they basically were part of the, trend at that time where Wall Street had really infiltrated Hollywood and said, if you have sequels, you're a success. And Police Academy was indeed a success, despite the fact it had, 90-minute runtimes, a movie a year, paper-thin characters. It made a lot of money. I mean, it deserved to go as long and as well as it did. So as painful it is to go back and watch it, which I had to for this, it did well. It's a real hallmark of the 80s that I don't think is really talked about that much anymore. With that kind of 80s success, of course the cartoon and a toy line were to spin out of it, despite being an R-rated movie originally. The cartoon was made by Ruby Spears and lasted 2 seasons, 65 episodes, which, given the time, is incredible. Not so much for the number of episodes, but for actually going 2 seasons, whereas, we're really in that kind of pre-Turtles, throw everything against the wall kind of time where you got 1 season, 1 chance, and if it wasn't a success, you're out. Much like most of the subsequent sequels to the original 1984 Police Academy, the cartoon really more focused on them as police officers, and they really did sort of grow their own little rogues gallery in that cartoon. Likewise, when we talk about the characters, they are very similar to the movies, and by that I mean they're paper thin. A lot of the characters were a thing, and that was their characterization. In the case of Callahan and Hooks, the sole female members of Police Academy, they were kind of just a joke. So Callahan was big and strong and busty and hot and very strict and basically, left men drooling. On the other hand, Hooks was very short, very quiet, very shy, until she was pushed too far, and then she would do like she did in every single movie with her one line, "Don't move, dirtbag!" Admittedly, these two were sort of the ones that, of course, I glommed onto. Not just because they were the, just hardcore divas of the show, but also because, I saw a lot of myself in them. I mean, Hooks, like me, can be a little quiet until you're not. And, like Callahan, just so hot. Just these big, juicy boobs. So, both of them very relatable to me. Although she wasn't, mentioned in the title card, there is another sort of recurring woman villain in the series, and that would be a woman named Phoenix Amazona, who was a wrestler, owner of a gym that Sweet Chuck had a huge crush on. I love the bad girls, so she would have been a nice toy, but let's get on to the toys. Much like the inexplicable success of the movies and the cartoon, the toy line by Kenner ran from 1989 till 1991, had 3 waves, and just an absolute dazzling assortment of action figures. I mean, this was at a time where, again, figures did not last past that 1 wave. So this is shocking, and I don't know anyone who had these. I don't know where this money was coming from, or the success, where, if you had a ton of these figures, let me know, because I'm curious why Kenner poured so much into it. Like the one-dimensional characters, like what Kenner was doing with Beetlejuice and Ghostbusters, each of the figures had wacky gimmicks or wacky accessories, and they could do a thing. So this was very much Kenner's wheelhouse, and much like Kenner's wheelhouse at that time as well, no women, no. Very often for these toy lines that did have a one-wave wonder situation happening, I do sort of give them a bit of a pass either knowing that there was women planned for Wave 2 or, assuming slash hoping that that was the case. In this case, it's a firm no. I mean, in this case, it was Kenner absolutely saying, we're not making Hooks, we're not making Callahan. In the, case of Callahan, maybe she was too sexy, I guess, for a toy. I don't really know what the reason was, but Hooks is charming. I don't know why she couldn't be, partnered up with her partner, Hightower. Likewise, a lot of the villains from the cartoon were brought over to the toy line. So again, no Phoenix Amazona. The final verdict here should surprise no one. I mean, I have friends who are huge fans of Police Academy. I don't understand them, but there's not really been a huge rumbling or outcry for more Police Academy movies or toys or anything. I mean, anytime someone sort of mentions 80s or 90s toy lines that they want, they are not in the conversation. That said, if you do want to collect the figures, they're comparatively cheaper than a lot of other ones, even lesser known figures at that time. If, like me, and you're willing to go the custom route to complete your team, there is one option that I've found so far. There is a 3D modeler called La.calavera who has done a 3D model and a pretty damn good job of Callahan. I'm hoping he does Hooks at some point in the future, but this is a great starting point, and very much your only option currently. And that's really it for Police Academy. I mean, despite it being a outstanding success, apparently, in the box office, on the television, on the toy aisles. I mean, it's one of those things where it did what it had to do. It made the money it had to make. Also, unmitigated success in excluding women. So, despite that success, despite having a good thing going, still refusing to just complete the team, as I mentioned before. All that said, Police Academy was made for sequels, and it's probably made for remakes at some point in the future too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit more in the future, and hopefully with this time, a better line of action figures. So I thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time on MIA 80s Ladies.